Once again, time to hop aboard the bunny train. If Disney can prove anything, it's that they want us to explore more of this movie's fascinating world building. A rare Disney sequel that works like an absolute charm, just like the old days. With the original movie's massive world building having a huge impact on storytelling alongside its massive success, it was only natural that Disney wanted to return to this universe, and it eventually released to similar critical and even greater commercial success, grossing nearly $1.9 billion at the 2025 box office. To put that into perspective, it was the highest grossing Hollywood movie of 2025, and not even Avatar, Fire and Ash could hold a candle to it, barely making the 1.5 billion mark. Thanks China, and you know what? It's absolutely well deserved. This is a sequel that comes off as a typical cash grab and manages to give us some more original storytelling with our favourite buddy cop duo with more characters and clever celebrity cameos. So what made Zootopia 2 an absolutely big hit for an absolute good reason? Why does it add up nicely to its already great predecessor? And how can we take notes from another sequel in the future? In today's movie review, I'll be talking about the sequel to one of the greatest animated movies, Zootopia 2. Time to hop back onto the bandwagon and join the hype of this movie's great storytelling. First of all, the most important thing about this movie's high points is how it expands its already massive world building with much more to see. What, you thought the first movie looked big? Well, guess what? This one is even bigger. It adds reptiles like new creatures such as Gary the Snake, more species, and more habitats are explored, meaning we get to see more of how this film's setting came to fruition, since we never really saw it in the first movie. It adds a nice and fresh dynamic to this world that makes it feel more alive. And its visual contrast in comparison to its wonderful animation is seen with the Marsh Market, a humid, semi-aquatic environment designed for the city's cold-blooded residents, which is mixed extremely well with this movie's visual style and how it effectively uses its budget. It's a sequel that keeps on giving. Like its first movie, the characters are as likable as ever, but there are also many new characters in the mix. Of course, the original ones like Judy and Nick are as great as ever, with growth that tests their bond by giving more high-stakes action that allows their significant reconciliation to feel earned, with their differing philosophies. But aside from those two, there are also tons of other characters such as Gary the Snake, a charming but misunderstood Blue Viper, Nibbles, Mia Winddancer. Did I forget to mention that he's voiced by Patrick Warburton, the same voice behind Joe Swanson from Family Guy, the Link-Sleeve Cat family, and so many others. It also has plenty of celebrity voice cameos such as Ed Sheeran, CM Punk, Bob Iger, Macaulay Culkin, alongside Brenda Song, John Leguizamo, Michael J. Fox, Josh Gad, Danny Trejo, and Dwayne Johnson. Yes, The Rock makes a brief cameo voice appearance as Zeke. The voice cameos are something that one would instantly recognize depending on how much of a fan they really are, whilst not being disgusted by the amount it's trying to pad with its still very original story, since the characters have plenty of dynamics and are essentially the reason for how smart the humour is in this one. This is basically Bad Boys and Rush Hour, but way better. The themes in this sequel still add plenty of depth to its very layered storytelling and are essentially the strong points that made the original such a blast to watch. It retains all of them here, with ones such as systematic prejudice, colonialism, and the power of communication very well mixing into the story with a good hint of depth, as well as learning about others and their place. New ones that this sequel tackles are gentrification and displacement, as you see in the city of Zootopia's founding, and the species either being left behind or replaced as the city grew. It also informs us about information and media, with characters like Nibbles serving as a satire of modern conspiracy theories and how digital information is spread in the modern age. The first movie tackled prejudice and systematic bias, whereas this one tackles more complex issues, which you see in the movie, and it also manages to convey some new messages along the way. It just helps more and more to stay faithful to its original movie whilst not ruining its reputation. The animation still manages to be an absolute spectacle for Disney standards, and it is also way better than the first movie, due to it being more realised with better facial expressions and more colours. It adds dynamics and physics to the attention to detail in the film's setting, like the swamp-themed areas, and more lighting in other types of places that make the settings feel more alive. The characters are also more realised with better expressions and charisma, the world building is so much more, and the quality is insane compared to the first Zootopia. But looking at this movie's visual style, you can really see how the expensive budget went into making this, with clever gags and Easter eggs, like especially how it still manages to priority other classic movies that never came off as a cheap way to be smart with its humour, similar to last time. And there was an even bigger graphics designer team behind the little final touches to this movie's animation. This is one of Disney's most well done movies in ages. Lastly, this movie avoids the typical Disney cash grab trope that is known to many original Disney movies these days. I'll give a few examples. Sequels such as Ralph Breaks the Internet and Moana 2 aren't very good sequels to some very great movies, yet their box office performance was really successful, which is begging for more sequels rather than original ideas, throwing away that charm that made Disney, well, Disney. Rather than doing nothing to change the story, this one expands its own by giving us a new one that feels very fresh and original, and the celebrity cameos are clever and never come off as bait. The action isn't repeated either, as it's so much more than that combines its simple high sequences, funny pop culture that adults can relate to, it's smart, and it doesn't come off as idiotic like other movies. And the music is awesome as well, thanks to Michael Giacchino returning to compose the score. People across the globe helped propel this movie's critical success by praising it as a sequel that actually manages to entertain all viewers and make use of its limited time with you. Like the original Zootopia, it's witty and smart, yet not without rewards for the whole family. Zootopia 2 is positively shining for a sequel that was a bit middling at first. Unlike mid-Disney sequels such as Moana 2 and Toy Story 4, this one massively respects its predecessor and doesn't come off as a cheap cash grab. It expands its already massive world building and does so much that you'll be wanting another movie in the series. It has a more wider range of cast members with clever celebrity cameos and better character development, major thematic layers of depth with themes and messages, better and more visualized animation spectacle with nicer visual style, and it's definitely not a cash grab due to its unique story and pacing. Furthermore, the dynamics are awesome, it has fun heist and action sequences, and the music score is still an absolute bop. Also, there are Easter eggs everywhere in this film. There's plenty to point out, but I think you should know them by now. Disney must be celebrating this much needed victory, and I don't blame them, since the amount of scope and work that was effortlessly placed into the sequel is well earned, and there's still plenty of time to take off before another adventure can start production without giving viewers terrible franchise fatigue, unlike movies such as Avatar. I absolutely adored this one, just as I adored the first one to death. Zootopia 2 is an absolute treat for the whole family, and one that will still win amongst die-hard Disney fans. Bring on Zootopia 3, Disney. I'm ready. Unlike most Disney sequels, Zootopia 2 takes its already expansive world building from its predecessor and adds plenty of thematic depth to nibble out another fantastic adventure for Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. My final score for this Disney sequel is a 10 out of 10 and a grade S. Finally, a Disney movie that actually makes sense in the modern age. Well, it is a sequel, but it's more than just a sequel. It's a phenomenon. I cannot believe Disney actually made an amazing movie for once. I was worried about how much fatigue they'd be giving us with lots of sequels and stuff. I definitely give this one a treat or two, and so should you. But with that being said, leave a like on this video if you guys did enjoy my review on Zootopia 2. And also remember to subscribe if you are new and hit that bell icon to see more content on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Take care of yourselves.